Good morning, 7th graders. How are we doing on this lovely Monday?
Yeah, we're here.
Yippee! Yes, I love it. How was your weekend? Did you do anything fun?
I won the kayaking championship.
Congratulations, that's so exciting. Where were you kayaking?
Michigan.
I love that. That's awesome. How much so fun. What about you, Brandon? How was your weekend? Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Is it okay to share? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I understand.
She needed me as like emotional support, so it was just kind of awkward.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, I'm so glad you guys are here. What we're going to do is we're going to go over the outsiders and do a little recap, and we're going to be talking about understanding bias. So, for our agenda today, we are going to start out with a group activity that I'm going to explain in a moment. We're going to go over some bias, what it is, how bias affects us. We're going to do a recap of the outsiders. I know we've been reading that the last couple weeks, so we're going to do a little recap. We're also going to watch the Rumble scene, which is a scene that we've kind of been focusing on in chapter 9, and then we're going to be doing a journaling activity. So, we're going to do our group activity first. And that's exactly what I did. This activity is a reflection of you. Okay? This activity, welcome to class. Right now we're going over, we're going to start a group activity and then talking about bias. So preface first, this activity is not reflective of you. So in this activity, we're going to be talking about bias. This has nothing to do with what you know, like what, please do not take this activity personal. It is for learning activity. It is for learning purposes. So right now, we'll be in groups right now. So Brandon, if you don't mind, would you please sit with Chloe for this activity? So, I'm going to give you some words and you have 10 seconds to unscramble the word. Alright? So, here is your word and here is your word. On your marks, get set, go. 2, 3, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up! Alright, what is your word?
Tree.
Your word is tree. Very good. Liv, what's your word?
I think it's a medication, rosemary.
Okay, that's a really good guess. The black shirts got it faster because people who wear black shirts are usually smarter. So that's why, they've got their dark hair, they've got their dark shirts, they're both, wearing shirts with graphics on them. That just means they're smart. Wow. So they get it done fast.
That actually makes so much sense.
So, okay, what just happened?
I'm stealing. I got a much more unfair situation.
Okay.
Yeah, they had 2 people, shorter word, and then I had 1 person, triple size word.
Okay, so your word is metamorphosis, actually. So, yes, Brandon.
What's metamorphosis?
Metamorphosis, so when you think of a butterfly is a caterpillar and it metamorphosizes or changes into a butterfly. So our essential question today is how can we identify our own biases to understand other people better? So, what is bias? Can somebody share with me what you know about bias after doing this activity? Chloe.
It is when when you have like favoritism towards somebody.
Okay, very good. How is that shown in this activity? Brandon?
You preferred giving us who had glasses and black shirts the easier question.
Okay, very good. Any other takeaways of what bias is? That's okay. So bias is a preconceived notion that helps us kind of have these opinions in our head about certain people or certain groups. So I want you to think of a time silently of about a time you've experienced bias. So I'll give you 10 seconds to just kind of brainstorm bias, how you've experienced it. Go.
Yeah. Here.
So go ahead and turn to your neighbor and share what you know about bias or if you've ever encountered bias before.
Hello, fellow black shirt.
Bias and why? Yep, you can absolutely form a group of 3.
My most recent bias is at work. One of my students, he is on the spectrum, but he believes that boys are always better than
You want
girls.
me to just start recording?
So I have to prove that I know enough about boy topics, so he doesn't want to be
Hello,
Be uncooperative
How are
towards
we
me.
doing today?
That's a really, really good example. Thank you for
Alright,
sharing.
That's what I like to hear. That's what I
So
like to
what
hear.
we're going to do
So,
now is
we are going
to
start off
go
by doing a
over-
little bit of a
oh,
pretest.
we're gonna go over
So
chapter
we're
9.
going to be talking about
So we've been reading this so we know about the greasers, the
homelessness,
socias,
outreach,
some
and
conflict
we're
and
just gonna
confrontation
get
that's going on,
what you
and
already
then
know.
what ultimately happens
So
is the
we're gonna
rumble.
take a couple
So the
minutes
conflicts,
to
the greasers and
do this.
socias are in a rivalry about
Whenever
different
you're
class
done with that,
structures.
go ahead
You know,
and
the
just give a
greasers
thumbs up so
are
we can see that we're
usually
fine.
more, they're seen as poor, they're seen as all these negative things. The conflict, you know, it's violent because of the different groups not getting along with one another. We also have prejudice and misunderstanding in this novel. The greasers are seen as troublemakers, and the socias are viewed as these pretentious, rich kids. So the common ground that they have in this novel is Ponyboy and Cherry. They are both, Ponyboy is a greaser and Cherry is a soc. So they are, you know, both on common ground. So some characteristics of the greasers, they're really working class boys. They wear their leather jackets, their hair is super greased back. Some of the members, you know, we have Ponyboy, Dally, Two-Bit, a bunch of other characters, and they have economic hardships. They have a tough exterior, they're super loyal to one another. Then we have the socias that show short for socials, they're upper class. There are some key members, Bob Sheldon, Randy Adderson, and then they have fewer problems than the greasers because of their wealth and their status. So what we're gonna do now is go through the rumble scene. So I want you to look for identity, so the interactions between the socials and greasers, as well as the conflict, and the different types of violence and bias and what choices are being made during this scene. So we can take a look at this. If I can find the mouse.
Today we're going to be taking a look at the poem Stranger by Samuel Oberman. It is about the narrator is on telling a poem about a homeless person that is about what he is doing. So the children just read through it once, and then we're going to have a text code that we're going to do as well, and so just getting into it. Who is he? Sitting alone and lost in thought, wandering all around, no one in sight, no shelter, no food, yet he stands tall, wearing clothes I've never seen before. Every afternoon I see him searching for food. I wonder, was he born into this life, or was he made to be this man? But surely he must have been well before. I never passed by without notice, but when I stopped to look at him, he must have been sleeping and screaming. But who are the real strangers? Africa, and who are truly kind?
Be sure while you're watching here, take a look at appearances. How those people contribute to bias.
Yet he stands tall, wearing clothes I've never seen before. So we're gonna stop there. What do you guys?
Okay,
notice
so
far throughout
let's.
the poem? Do we have a stranger's name?
Okay,
yet?
so what did we
Is there
notice
any
while
unread
watching
needs
this
that the
scene?
stranger has?
We don't have his name.
Brandon.
I noticed that, at least when it was, they were doing like the shot of like looking at all the rest, all of these socials were pulling up. They like, I'm assuming this was on purpose, but like, it showed like half of their faces was really heavily shadowed and then half of their faces was fully seen.
That's a really good observation. Why do you think that?
I think it adds a bit of, I don't say it makes them look, if there's a darkness on their face, they're gonna assume that like there's a evil, I guess.
Okay.
There's like some sort of negative energy within them, or that's just how maybe the
You did a
socials
really good job
like
there.
perceive them.
Okay, that's a really good observation. That's the first, this is the first class that has mentioned that, so that's a really good observation. Any other takeaways, Chloe?
I was looking at the differences in the quality of their cars. Like the greasers, their like pickup truck was like all dented and they were doing backflips off of it versus the socials who have like Ferraris and really nice cars. And
All
they're
the
pulling
pen
up.
Corvettes. I love it. So how does that contribute to bias? If we, for example, let's take a look at cars. How does that contribute to the biases between the racers and the socials?
If you have nicer cars, you're gonna be probably at like a higher status.
Okay.
Maybe you're well educated, maybe you're better protected because of your family and your status or whatever.
Yeah, thank you. That's really important to note. When we look at appearances, we can immediately think of a bias towards that person. So what aspects of violence did we see? Now, this scene, we really didn't see the whole fight, but what makes you kind of think that they're gonna start getting into a fight?
The outsiders looking in.
Their body language was super tense.
Okay.
When they were watching the cars roll up, they got into like a very strict line together. Their shoulders were like,
They're like
perched up. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
macho. Their jawlines like all clenched, like they were preparing for something.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good observation. So right now we know that the different biases between the greasers and the socials are fueling this fight. So, okay, so part of our discussion, we know that the greasers and socials, we can see the biases based off of the cars, based off their appearances. How do the confrontations between the greasers and the socials show that there's a misunderstanding between the two?
Right, exactly, because it's pigmentation of both, it's showing us both sides and how.
Chloe.
both sides
I mean, they're both
are
just
viewed.
they're
What
both
is
groups
that?
of teenage
What is
boys.
that?
Yeah.
I don't think they look at each other as people. I think they look at each other as
How
stereotypes.
they're perceived in society.
Really, really good answer. They can see this group is full of pretentious rich boys and this other one is the hardworking, manly men. Very good. I love it. Thank you for sharing. So what we're gonna do, if you could please pull up your computers and go to our Padlet, we're gonna do some journaling. So if you just click on new conversation, have you ever been guilty of believing a stereotype and then found out later that the person did not fit that perception? So if you wanna take a couple minutes to jot down some thoughts, and then we'll share.
Being alone.
Yes, it's in the
and not
Canvas
having
discussion
how
on the
that
slideshow.
can be an unmet need that also is had.
It looks like this, once you get it pulled up. We also have a recap of our essential question that I want you to keep in mind while we are journaling. How can we identify our own biases to help better understand other people? So keep that in mind while you are doing this journal prompt.
Just as much as an unmet need as not having shelter, not having food.
Are we all able to find it?
No one's willing to have that interaction with their visitor.
Remember, humans are social creatures.
That's okay, that's okay, it's, yes, it's,
I don't think the camera was an actual.
Good job, guys, that.
oh, okay.
Delivering thoughts,
Okay,
questions.
gotcha,
ideas.
sorry, I
Oh, you're chill.
should have done that.
So we'll share any thoughts.
Tech issues,
Yeah, thank you.
let me tell you.
Trust me, we understand.
So we have this question. So now.
So remember to
we're
keep
gonna
in
go to
mind,
Padlet,
have you ever been
and
guilty
out
of believing a
see
stereotype and found out later that that person
now
did
we're gonna
not fit the
talk about
perception?
resources that
Keep
are
in mind our
the
essential
community and
question
how
about
they can
identifying
also
our
look
own
at
biases
Padlet,
and
see
how
what
we
kind of
use them to
organizations are
understand
already
people.
there, then do some research on an organization that might not be on the.
So I'll give you a couple
Padlet,
minutes to do
and
that and then
do
we
some
can share.
research on what they are, what their hours are, where they're located, a little bit about them, and then share. So just take a couple minutes to do that. So 1 minute, I'm finding, so you're finding a resource within the community with, you can go, you can refer back to the quiz, or I don't know if you can pull it up again, but you see how it's like details for wheels, or, so you could find. Yes, so one resource. You guys to find one resource that you can look up.
So when you're
Maybe
finished, go
not
ahead and
on
close
the
your
calendar
computer
yet,
for a moment,
look up
or put your phone
resources
down.
for-
That way we can figure out who needs some more time.
Or if you can't find a new one, if you just expand on one that's already there. Does that help clarify some things? So we'll take about a minute here.
I'm gonna collect the sheets that have our words on them. So could I have one person share what they wrote? If they feel so inclined, Chloe?
I've said, yes, I have,
Okay,
because every time I meet a person, I get a first, like, guess of who they
Yeah.
are based on what they're wearing, what they act like, what their
Okay.
voice sounds like.
a first impression.
And then that is often broken by getting to know them more, but if I don't get to know them more, then it's only that.
That's a really good answer. Well, thank you all so much for your hard work today. Thank you for participating. I hope you all have a great rest of your day.